But you know, I have to talk about this stuff because I have to overcome my fear of marriage at this point and moving forward. And part of, moving forward from trauma is, I feel, talking about it and putting it on blast and releasing it to the universe. Um Now, I recently have been talking about my fear of marriage. I have a fear of marriage, and I never had this feeling before up until my last marriage, where I had to divorce him. But I say he traumatized me. Um, he never beat me, he never took money from me. But this man's behavior started becoming extremely crazy. Okay. What I mean by this, I said he had a habit of, if he got mad, he would talk about wanting to die and committing suicide. He would cry. He would, just throw little temper tantrums. It's almost like he was a toddler. And what's so crazy is, when I first met my ex-husband, he was so level-headed. He was so perfect. Hmm. I did I did think he was kind of overly expressive and emotional, and I wasn't used to men who were expressive as him, because he would write and all this other stuff, and he's excellent communication. So I thought that was positive, because we're used to men nowadays not knowing how to talk or express themselves. So I tried to overlook the sensitivity I noticed from him, because I'm like, he seems a little bit sensitive. But hey, maybe it's because I'm just used to toxic people. I need to get over being programmed to dealing with toxic men and accept a person who is in touch with their feelings. Okay. Boom. So you never really know a person until they going through a rough time, right? When me and this motherfucker got married, and his name is Motherfucker. When me and this motherfucker got married, um, that's when I started seeing how he behaved during rough times. He got laid off from his job, and I think that was the beginning of me really starting to see him crack, cuz he put on a facade for a long time with me, and so I wasn't able to see a lot about him. I just thought, oh, well, he's from a well-to-do family. He has a few college degrees. He's very articulate. He knows the Bible. He knows the encyclopedia, the dictionary. This guy was intelligent from what I thought. I'm used to dealing with dummies. So him coming off totally different like that, I was like, okay, he's the marriage type. Anywho, so boom, boom, boom. I'm starting to notice that he gets triggered by damn near everything. Okay? Like, he would overreact to things too. Like, things that aren't that important. I remember one time me and him were not arguing, but kind of discussing something, right? And I put my hand on the TV. I put my finger on the TV, right? Not doing nothing to it. He was like, "You're scratching the TV." I said, "What?" He said, "You're scratching the TV. You're scratching the TV." I said, "No, I'm not." But I was like, "Oh my God, like, is he crazy?" Like, I was just like, I'm not scratching the TV. So imagine dealing with someone like that, who either is triggered or possibly even has some sensory problems. I started noticing this. Like, he was just sensitive. I would go back home. He accused me of having a boyfriend, cheating, then sends me text messages saying he was going to kill himself. I had to call his godmom, and I told her, hey, check on him, because I was out of town. And I didn't know if he really went through with killing himself or not. So I called his godmother and I said, can you please call him? Because at that point he blocked me. And I said, can you please call him, because he's talking about committing suicide, and check on him. Is he okay? She called me back saying, oh, I talked to him. He said he was fine. So you just got off the phone with me threatening suicide, doing all this, but then when I tell your godmother to call you, you're acting fine. I think I called the police too to do a wellness check. But It was that level of manipulation and gaslighting, and like I've never had somebody play those type of mind games with me. Okay. So boom. It's a couple of things that happened, but I want to talk about the main thing. So we went out of town for our anniversary, and we got into it. We got into it because I'll just say he did something that was so unbelievable. And mind you, nothing that I'm talking about has anything to do with another woman or anything like that. I don't know if he was cheating on me. Personally, I checked out the marriage. But either who, he did something that was so erratic and so unbelievable. I knew he had to go. Okay? He did I'll just put it like this. When we were on our way back home, I knew the marriage was over. Okay? I knew it was over. I said, no, he's out of his motherfucking mind. So anywho, I kick him out. I said, you gotta leave. And I can tell he was looking at me, wondering if I really meant it, but I just sat there and didn't say a word. He packed up all his stuff and left, right? And then, okay, so I'm at the place by myself, right? Y'all know I stay home and I work from home, so I'm at home. I guess he was noticing that I wasn't calling him or basically trying to reconcile the marriage. He was popping up at the place unannounced, okay? Like he was coming in. I remember one time he came in the apartment. His eyes were black. He looked enraged. He said, who you got in here? I said, what? He said, who's in here? Who's in here? I said, ain't nobody in here. He was like, you're lying. They probably jumped off the balcony. I said, oh my God. Like, so he came over unannounced maybe 2 or 3 times, right? And this is when I knew. I said, okay, I'm gonna get a Ring camera. I went out of town. No. It was another incident that happened. I'm not gonna get into that. But I'll just say this. That man was motherfucking turning crazy as shit. So I was out of town, and I went out of town after I installed the Ring camera. When I tell you, I saw him creeping up to the door at 5 a.m. But soon as he saw the camera, he stopped because he didn't remember. He didn't know I had put a camera up, because at this point he was popping up unannounced, all types of shit. I'm like, oh my God, this man, like, he could kill me. He crazy. I caught him red-handed creeping up to my door at 5 in the morning, looking like he was about to do something. I don't know what. He didn't go that far. I wasn't home. And then the camera had caught him. And he slowly backed away. And I was like, I caught him, right? Ever since then, right, I had ordered mace, a knife, and I was sleeping at my bedside with a gun. Even after we moved, I started thinking, like, what if he find me and, you know, try to kill me or something like that, right? So for a few months after our separation, going towards divorce, I was so paranoid, like hearing any sound by the door, I was getting suspicious. I was sleeping by my bed with a gun. Okay? I remember one time I was walking around. I was just, you know, if I heard anything, I would go up to the door with a gun. Like, I was that paranoid. So y'all got to understand the trauma that I got from my ex-husband. He never beat me, hit me, cheated on me, that I know, but it was his emotional behavior that made me feel he is going to kill me. Even walking on eggshells, like him thinking, when I put my finger on the TV and him thinking I was scratching the TV, imagine being around somebody who has those type of either triggers or sensory problems where it's like, oh, it's like walking on eggshells. Like, being around him started feeling like I was walking on eggshells, because I'm like, he can be set off just by anything. Like him assuming something, him thinking something. It was the weirdest shit ever. And mind you, half our arguments or debates weren't even that serious, but because he was so sensitive, any little thing used to trigger him. Okay? So I felt like I was walking on eggshells around him because he would just, I remember he got mad one day because we was watching TV, and it was a movie on Tubi called 35 and Still Something. And he said 35 and still talking, right? But it's all joking. Everybody knows I talk too much. So I didn't take it personal, right? I'm all about kikiing and making fun of each other. But when it was my turn to make fun of him and compare him to somebody on TV, at first he was laughing, but I think he noticed me and my son were laughing, and he got offended by that. And he walks in the back room and all sulking. He was like, y'all laughing at me. You try to play me. First of all, you literally just compared me to a movie that said 35 and still either single and called it 35 and still talking. I was laughing. Ha ha he he. I don't care that everyone knows I talk too much. I don't care. But the second I make fun of you based off a character on TV, you go in a room and throw some type of little attitude. He was just so sensitive. Like, he was so emotional and sensitive. And oh my God, it made me start appreciating the man who doesn't give a fuck. My ex-husband was so sensitive to everything. It made me actually feel the guy who doesn't care about shit is actually not that bad of a guy. Okay? Like, I know as women, we be like, oh, he act like he don't care. The worst motherfucking man on the planet is a man who cares too much about everything. Okay? So, being married to him actually changed my perspective of how I see men. Because he was so emotional and feminine in that area that now I appreciate the man that doesn't let everything get to him. Okay? My ex-husband literally let everything get to him. Everything hurt his feelings. Everything. I told y'all we went to church together, and he got upset with the he wasn't a pastor, he was some elder or something. He was arguing with the pastor, whoever, about the scripture saying faith without works is dead. He was like, no, all you need is faith. And when I tell you, he was getting so pumped up and mad, and everybody, it was two guys. They were trying to say, calm down. And they, calm down. He was like, no. I was like, oh my God, he is legit crazy. So, and I was so disappointed. I said, I cannot believe you did that. With him, he was like a ticking time bomb. Like, on one hand, it was like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. On one hand, he was extremely articulate, sensitive, expressive, loving. And then he had a whole nother side of him that was like the devil. I kid you not. It was the devil. Like, I saw, like, it was a demonic force. And this is why I say it was a very spiritually draining situation, because when you're dealing with somebody who is that unpredictable, you don't know what could set them off, what is going to affect them, what they're going to be in their feelings about. They're talking about they're going to kill themselves. Like, that was abusive to me. Okay? He may have never laid a hand on me or took a penny from me, but all that emotional shit, in my opinion, is abuse. Okay? Gaslighting me, having me call your family and trying to get them to help out with you saying you're suicidal, but then when they call you, you acting normal. So in turn, it's making me look crazy, right? I'm panicking, talking to his dad and saying, this what's going on? And I'm trying to, get some insight of, is he okay? And people either not taking me seriously, or he's turning the switch off when he talks to somebody else. Like, to me, I'm seeing all this emotional baggage and this crazy shit, but the second he talked to his family or somebody else, he's fine. And in turn, that made me look like I was fucking crazy. It was like crazy making behavior. Okay? Because now they're looking at me like, this girl, she crazy. She up here saying he seems fine to me. Oh, it ain't nothing worse than a motherfucker playing that game with you. Like, they really are going crazy, and you're trying to seek out help, and now people looking at you like something wrong with you. He was excellent in doing that. So that like I said, that's the behavior I was dealing with my ex-husband. Like I said, it took me a few months after him leaving and me moving for me to finally not have to go to the door with a gun. Okay? Um and this is why I remember I was so traumatized by that. I remember my cousin from out of town, he came to visit me. And he was gonna come back. He was like, "Yeah, I was gonna bring a friend with me." I said, your friend can't come over here." Like, being with my ex-husband made me very paranoid about people knowing where I live or just anything. Like, I have never been this paranoid before in my life. Like, ever. Like, he has 100% made me think twice about anyone knowing where I live. And it's all because I caught him at my door at 5 a.m. I just didn't like that, because we're supposed to be separated. Why the fuck are you coming at my house unless you were coming in to either destroy me or destroy some shit? Because I think he knew I was out of town. So why are you at my door at 5 a.m.? I think he was possibly trying to come in to do some damage or sabotage. You know? Like, so now I'm like really paranoid about people coming over my house because of that. Okay? So I have to talk about this. I have to release this because, like I said, that was the most emotionally traumatizing situation I've ever been in. Like, I don't think, I remember one time he threatened suicide once again, and he was driving. He was like, but I was on a phone. I wasn't in a car with him. He's like, I'm going 70 in a 30 mile. He basically was trying to tell me how he was speeding. And I was like, don't speed. You know, once again, get me all worked up about him possibly committing suicide. And I was like, he was like, no, I'm going 70, 80 and a 25. I'm going 70, 80 and a 25. I said, are you serious? Like, it was a big mind fuck, y'all. Big mind fuck. I have never been mentally fucked with like that. I have never experienced anything like that in my life. And then the reason why I'm looking at his family and I think they're demons is because they literally come off so fucking perfect. Okay? That's why I said I can see if I was dealing with somebody from a rough background and they really are about that life for real, it wouldn't surprise me. But I think what shocked me the most about my ex-husband acting like that is because that is not the presentation of him or his family. Like, they are literally picture perfect on film, on paper. PhDs, lawyers, engineers, going to Yale University, prestigious Stanford. So to have your ex-husband acting like that, that is some crazy shit. I said, if I don't get away from him, he could potentially kill me and they would cover it up. Like, those type of families, like, one thing people need to understand about those so-called well-to-do family, they are some tricksters. Okay? They cover things up for each other. And this is why when I was trying to seek help from his dad or somebody, I felt like they weren't concerned like that. It was something about their reaction to what I said he was doing that didn't seem concerned. That's another thing that blew me from about these people. But I'm like, y'all go to church, y'all all in this, but I'm telling you, your son is acting like this, and it's like y'all ain't trying to help. But now that I think about it, I'm like, shit, they probably used to him being like that. They could have already known he's like this. That's because I'm like, if I'm telling you that your son is talking about suicide, this, that, and the third, why is no one acting like they care? And it's probably because they've already dealt with it before. Okay? They've already dealt with it. They already knew what time it was with him. But it just scared me. I truly feel if I would have stayed married to him, I would have been murdered and they would have covered it up. I'm dead serious. That's how slick these people are. This is how like, I'm telling you, these are some of the most evil people I've ever met. And what I mean by evil is, no, they're not going to cuss you out. They're not going to do that. But they gaslight. Okay? Crazy making motherfucking people. Okay? Like, you see them dressed nice, articulate, like I said, very intelligent people. But they don't respond or react to this type of bullshit in a way I would think a normal person would, or a normal family would. Okay? Like, I'm like, this is some next level shit right here. Like, this is crazy. And like I said, I've never dealt with anything like that before in my life. Never. Okay? Never. So I know people, you know, like I said, when it comes to getting these really successful, high value, highly intelligent, highly educated people, and they're a close-knit family like that, be careful. Be careful. It's like that movie Ready or Not. Like, she married into a very wealthy family, but they were trying to sacrifice her and kill her on the wedding day. And they were really satanic. Like, I literally will compare my marriage to my ex-husband like that movie Ready or Not. Okay? These people were fucking crazy. Rich, wealthy people are sick. So a lot of them are sick. Them close-knit families, those really, really close-knit, highly educated families, something ain't right with them. I promise to God. They had to do a lot of lying, cheating, and sneaking to get where they are. And trust me, they know how to play the motherfucking game. All right? And like I said, that was the most scary situation I've ever been in. And I've been paranoid since. Okay? Hey, the rain. Like, I'm telling you, it made me look at rich people differently. Not rich people, but you know those people who are wealthy or rich. And the family is just so fucking close. Like, everything about their life on paper is manicured to perfection. The schools they went to, how highly intelligent they are, how everything looks. It looks like everything is perfect. These are some sick fucking people. They do not respond or act like normal people. Okay? Everything with them is strategy, a game. Like I said, I was sleeping with a gun. Dead ass. I heard any noise by my door, I was going to the door. You would have thought I was fucking crazy. I remember one time we was separated. Well, during our separation, I would sleep on the couch. And I don't know if I had a dream. I don't know what this was. But it was a dark shadow figure that got on top of me and stabbed me in the forehead with a freaking a knife, a sword or something. And I woke up like, like that was during my separation, I had my very first dream of someone killing me. Like, I actually died in that dream. So my panic and my worry was on 1,000 because of his craziness. Okay. So anywho, I'm finally out of that. However, that's why I am the way I am at this moment. Like, just carefree, just, you know, not caring about certain things, because I literally already had the bullshit that everybody wants. I had the poems. I had the flowers. I had the gifts. I had the edible arrangements. I had the dates. I had this. And bitch, when I tell you, that was the most traumatizing mind fuck situation I've ever been in. And I'm not in a rush to get it back. Trust me. I already had it. Okay? And I see what that life is about. Okay? A lot of people want a certain life until you get in it and see what it's really the fuck about. Okay? It's about hierarchy. It's about status. It's about everything, and that's why these people have kids that be going crazy and killing them and murdering their girlfriends. Have y'all ever noticed when it comes to like these murders, like what was that Pearson, the Pearson case, and this other case, Gabby. They say these men come from wealthy, rich families, or just well-to-do families, and they kill the girlfriends or the wives, and the family either doesn't care or covers it up. Like, they really get down like that for real. Okay? And everybody's like, you would never think it, because it's like, even look at the Mendez brothers. You know, it's a lot of, I'll say this, it's a lot of dirt that goes on behind those walls with these type of people. And I seen what I needed to see, and I ain't trying to go back in that shit under any circumstances. Now, do you want a man that's about his business? Yeah. However, when it comes to affluent motherfuckers, it's a different story. I think I kind of like the guy that kind of got it out the mud more so than a motherfucker that was born with a silver spoon. I think I prefer the motherfucker that got it out the mud over the person who was born with a silver spoon in his mouth and is a spoiled, entitled, crybaby brat. Okay? Because that's exactly what these boys are. When they born with a silver spoon in their mouth and mommy and daddy always took care of it, these are some of the most sensitive, feminine, freaking just crybaby men on the planet, and they will kill you. I'll say that. Or they'll kill themselves. It's going to be some weird shit like that. All right? So, anywho, that's what I want to say. Bye.